All right, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. I'm Coach Lalonde, Precision Elite Training, and I'm happy to have you guys here with us. Some of you have been with us since week 1, and we are now on week 5. So if you haven't already, go back and watch episodes 1 through 5, or at least 1 through 4, and then join us here for this one. Not that you need to watch them all in a specific order to make it all make sense, but there is some carryover. Today's episode is all about making smart choices to create better calories ingested, which is also going to go back to week 3 where we talked about caloric balance or energy balance. So if you've watched week 3, then this will make much more sense as to why would we want to do this in the first place. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and then maybe go back and watch episode 3 and then come back to this one. If you have seen them all and you're ready to go, or you want to help someone else make healthy choices as well, invite them to watch this with you or share the link. Okay, that's all we're going to ask of you guys. It's free. We aren't here to ask for your money, so you can put your wallet away and get your notepad out. All right, we're going to get the notepads because we want to start making some specific tips and strategy notes on things that you may not have been using up to this point in your journey. I want to help you get the success that you're looking for. If your goal is weight loss through fat burning, or if your goal is muscle gain, therefore weight gain, okay? If you're getting healthier, you can be gaining weight, and that's very good. And you may want to lose weight in the way of reducing body fat, but still gain muscle too. So you might be sitting in that little Goldilocks zone, they call it, where it's not too hot or too cold. It's right in the middle, right? And that's possible, but you have to figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish first. That means we got to go back to episodes 1 and 2 and start to go through those. So that's the reason we want to get you guys to understand the journey is laid out in 10 different episodes. We're going to be here and we're halfway through. So enjoy. Grab a drink, grab your pen and your paper, or your notebook, and let's start making some notes. Okay. So this week we're going to be talking about food choices and the smartest ones that are going to help you with calorie restriction. Why would we want to do calorie restriction? Well, again, energy balance controls the outcome of your aesthetic in the way of, are we getting smaller or less weight? Are we getting bigger and gaining weight? Is it coming from fat or muscle or, there's a lot of different variables, water. There's a lot of things that are going to move the scale. Today, we're just specifically focusing on calorie deficit, which is not consuming all of the extra calories. So rather than saying, I just want you to start cutting all these types of foods out of your diet and then end up starving yourself to death, we don't want that. What we want you to understand is you're probably already doing a decent job of eating if you're trying to, choose whole, clean, healthy foods to the best of your ability. But then there are a few things you're doing that have been pushing a lot of extra hidden calories into the mix. Today, we're going to get smart about how to get those out. So this is where I want you to begin. The first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to the smart choices to get rid of those extra calories, write down number 1, cooking method. Inside a cooking method, you already know as well as I do that deep frying foods is probably the absolute worst thing you can do. How many of you still have a deep fryer? Probably time to get rid of that if you're trying to think health, longevity, dietary, just inflammation, getting rid of all the toxic things that are going to be happening to your body. You can go ahead and get rid of that deep fryer. Okay. There are no benefits to having a deep fryer. Now, air fryer is something new that's come out. You could take a look at that. But here are a few tips and strategies. We're just going to say, don't let your food saturate in the grease deep frying. Instead, I've got a few notes to read for you here, and I want you to consider these options. Number 1, barbecue. Barbecue or grill of any sort, baking, or even pan frying. Pan frying is still, yes, it's still pan fried, it's still fried, but it's not deep, saturated, sitting in grease and soaking. You can use healthier oils as well when you're doing a pan fry, which is going to require a lot less oil than a deep fryer. And your food's going to be able to be still in that fried type of environment, which most people like. So there's certain foods you're going to fry, like even let's just say a fried egg, for example, right? And you're going to use a certain oil to do that. Well, that takes us to point number 2. In point number 2, write this one down. In order to cut back on calories that might be coming in a way of excess calorie, oils, sauces, and condiments. Oils is where we were just talking about in the deep fryer. Well, we're going to get rid of the deep fryer. You've already cut out a ton of calories along with all the other toxicity items that are going to come with that deep frying. But now we're going into the idea that maybe you're still pan frying, but you're using oils. Be careful for some of the different oils because good or bad, which we know there are a lot of different choices you can make, the oils are still part of a category of macronutrient that we call fats, right? So again, you might have to go back to the episode on macronutrients to understand the different categories, proteins, carbs, and fats, and what they're all about. In that fats category, if you haven't already written it down, you would have learned that there are 9 calories in a gram of fat. 9 calories that are going to be added for every gram that you've added to your cooking. So now think about that. Oils, sauces, which also can contain oils, and condiments, which will also contain oils. So all of these fats are coming in, and some of them you'll see like creamy salad dressings, barbecue sauces, ketchup, loaded with sugar, loaded with grease. And I mean, just you're going to start to see tons of extra calories sneaking their way into your diet through the condiments and the sauces. I mean, we've seen people take a salad and completely destroy it. And you thought, hey, I had a salad, it was super healthy. Once you put that much creamy, high fat dressing on it, the calories have now gone, 3 times what the salad was worth. And you're thinking all you were tracking was the calories that came from the salad. And you can't understand why you're still not losing body fat. This is where I wanted to help you guys out today. Okay. So this stuff will completely wipe out a healthy meal, first and foremost. And here's one of the things that I want to kind of use as an analogy. I love analogies because it helps me make sense of things for me. So I understand things better when I can kind of picture it a different way. So when you think about it, think of it as a driver, for example, and maybe you've driven a car, right? And you ever get pulled over and you're like, I had no idea I was going that fast. Or you'll say, this person has a tendency to drive really, really fast. What does that term usually mean? We usually call them like heavy foot. They got a lead foot. They're very apt to continue to put the pedal to the metal and they just don't even realize it. You don't think about it. In nutrition, we call this individual heavy-handed, which is the exact same thing. Instead of having a heavy foot, you got a heavy hand, which means as soon as you go to pour sauce out of your container, you're just heavy-handed pouring and you're not counting or tracking for, how many grams of sauce or a condiment you put on. Therefore, you have no idea how many calories you've just consumed. Remember that with every product comes a nutrition label on the back. And we're going to talk about that in one of our 10 episodes on how to do nutrition label reading and understanding. So definitely stick around for that one. But when we're talking about heavy-handed pouring, you can't just eyeball it. That's like losing control and getting a ticket for getting pulled over for speeding or even running, you're going so fast that you spin out of control and crash. This is where accidents happen. This is where dietary accidents happen. People pouring heavy-handed. So bring that analogy back into how you put condiments or sauces on things. Okay. You have a speedometer on your car for a reason. We also use the scale or measuring cups or measuring spoons or whatever as a device for control. And it's to help us, especially if you're someone who's taking your health seriously and you're trying to cut down on extra calories. It doesn't mean you can't have that dressing. Doesn't mean you can't have that condiment, whatever you like, but you have to learn to at least be accountable to how much of it. You can't go in there with that heavy foot, that heavy hand, and just let it flow, right? Because you're most likely going to have an accident. Does that make sense? All right. So keep that in mind as we talk about bottled sauces, okay? And high calorie fillers that are used in there, most often sugar. You're going to find that in every ketchup, every barbecue sauce, you're going to have a ton of sugar. Go ahead and take a look at your label and see for yourself. Don't have to take my word for it. I've been doing this for a long time, but I want you to see it for yourself because then you're going to know. Okay. So most brands will have a very high sugar content. Here's what you could do. I'm here to also not tell you what not to do, but to give you what you can do. What if you used herbs and spices instead and just said, I know I'm quite used to using sauce on that thing, but I also know now that there's a lot of calories that come with that. I'm going to try it a different way, at least once. And I'm going to use a different seasoning or a different spice on it, and whether you're using a Mrs. Dash seasoning or you found some, there's different nutrition shops you can even go to, supplement stores, where now they've got amazing flavors of spices and even sauces that are low calorie to no calorie at all. Why don't you look for some of those? Go on your Amazon for shopping and take a look at some of those zero calorie sauces and some of those zero calorie, no sugar, no extra table salts added in seasonings and spices. Why don't you go look for those? Again, these are things we cover in our coaching course where I give you the items you're going to need and I lay it all out for you. But you can do this yourself too. It just takes a little longer, so you got to put in a little work. But if you're willing to do the work, you're willing to get that result. So go and find yourself some specific seasonings and spices and try them out. This is what gives food variety, and variety is the spice of life, isn't it? That's what they say. So let's go ahead and get you into item number 3. We talked about cooking method number 1, oils, sauces, and condiments number 2. And in number 3, we're going to talk about meat choices. Here's where a lot of clients make the mistake, okay? There's been massive amounts of popularity coming around carnivore dieting, ketogenic dieting, protein prioritized, and everybody's saying, you've got to make your meal protein centric, which I completely agree. Protein is the ultimate macronutrient for us, muscle growth and development, and it will help you speed up your metabolism. It will make you feel full longer. It will help with weight loss. So if we're putting all this emphasis on protein, does it make sense that somewhere in chasing that protein, we may fall victim to a specific food or two that, yes, they contain the protein, but they also have such a high caloric content that we may end up in a calorie surplus instead of a calorie deficit if you're trying to lose weight. Okay, so remember, there's a double edge to this, because if you're trying to put on weight, these can be very good items to add to your diet. They're not bad. There's no good or bad food. We're trying to eliminate the idea of emotion. It's not about emotion. So here's what we're going to do. When you look at your meats that you're choosing from, if you're trying to reduce calories and not increase your calories, then you're going to look for specific meats. And here are a few that you're going to want to watch out for. Sausages do contain protein. Salami does contain protein. Bacon does contain protein. But here's the thing about all of them. They've been processed into a form where they are high fat. They are probably loaded with extra salts, and you're going to find that the fat content is the major mover here, because at 9 calories per gram, those are some fatty meats. Now, that may also transfer over into ground beef and steak and different products. And I'm not telling you to not have the fat content versions of those. They're very good. They have major benefits. Saturated fats from animal meats is fantastic for the body. We're noticing more and more science coming out to support that. But there still comes energy balance, and there still comes caloric deficit, which means if you're eating those things to get the protein, you may in the background be missing those extra calories that are sneaking in because of the fat content. Make sense? So how do we avoid that? How do we cut that down? You simply take a look at options that might offer you a lower fat version of that. So is there such a thing as turkey sausage maybe instead of a pork sausage, right? And if you go that route and you like the taste, great. You found a solution to cut the calories down a bit in the fat, right? And again, in my coaching, I go over so many different alternatives to how you can take any one food and enjoy it in a better way and help you reduce your calories. So I just want to give you some base information and ideas to get that wheel, spinning for you right now. So think about salami, think about bacon. Are there other options? Or are there just better meats overall that you could be choosing? Maybe those are a once in a while thing, but you're not living by them, right? So here's what you can do. Better choices would be to choose leaner cuts of meat. And so when you see words like loin or round or breast, we all know chicken breast to be one of the best, right? Think about the white meat. That's kind of where you want to put your focus. Fish, white meat. You're going to start to notice that there's a lesser fat content in the white meat versus the dark meat. That can make a caloric difference. And that's why a lot of people have overemphasize the whole chicken breast and broccoli diet type thing is the only way to success. Well, that definitely cuts your calories down real fast. So does eliminating an entire food group, which is practically every diet ever created. They're always, removing something, and it's usually carbohydrates that get removed either completely or in portion. Sometimes they even go as far as to eliminate fats and just focus on protein alone. But we know that there's a lot of deficiency in vitamin and mineral that comes with that type of dieting. So no diet works unless you can stick to it for long term. And long term, that's going to be hard to do if you're eliminating something and restricting. So I want to help you guys create the balanced diet, which is going to really help you find a lifestyle that you can continue to keep healthy and fun for you. So now we're talking about using leaner cuts of meat that are better choices. And this is really important if you're trying to cut down on your extra calories, making for a calorie deficit that's going to lead to fat loss. Okay. So there's a lot of different nuances to each individual. If you have specific needs, and again, you can talk to your doctor, you can talk to your nutrition people in your life, you can search the Googles, whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, if you have somebody in your corner, like a coach, like myself, or another great coach with experience out there, our job is to take this journey with you. We're not just going to give you a diet and say, do this, you'll succeed. It's very individual to you. So I want you to know that. I'm speaking directly to you. If you need help, please reach out. Don't just sit back and say, I'll try this and see how it goes. It could take you 3 to 5 years to figure it out when we could have got on it and started figuring it out right away. Okay, so just know that there's coaches out there that are willing and looking forward to helping you. And there's a lot of dust in the market. There's a lot of clouds and a lot of noise. And we're trying to find the best people we can to help you with your journey during the process. So you're searching across, you're seeing all kinds of advertising. Precision Elite Training's been around for a long time. And I've been doing this, and I lost 80 pounds myself to start my entire journey long before I ever created the company and long before I ever got into fitness training. I became the first client. I want you to know that because I genuinely care, and I'm genuinely sharing information that is helping me, has helped me, and continues to help me on a regular basis. Episode number 5, point number 4. Point number 4, the last one of the day, is about socializing. And because you're taking a healthy lifestyle approach, here's the one that really bothers people the most. You become the individual who no longer wants to go out, no longer wants to socialize, no longer feels comfortable in the environment going out. Now, it doesn't mean that your friends are, going to be taking healthy lifestyle approaches, or else they can't be your friends anymore. It means that you yourself are isolating yourself from those environments because it's going to lead to food choices that aren't in alignment with what you do at home. And I want you to not think like that. What I want to do is give you some options and some tips here that can really change the game and make you feel better about going out to the restaurant. So the first thing is, I want you to think you're keeping with your healthy lifestyle. What would be the first item that you should look for on the menu that would make the most sense in what we've talked about, the most important macronutrient we can find, right? It's protein. We know that. So go to the menu and start looking for protein items. Of course, what does every meal start with? A starter, right? Meal starts with a starter, and usually the first option is breads, tons and tons of breads, right? And everything that you can choose from is breaded. There's always a lot of breaded item in the starters. So when you're thinking about ordering, look for the high protein options on the menu and look for things like steak and chicken and fish. Now, most often those are in the entree. So you're already knowing what you're going to start with in your big meal. You're going to go right to the steak, the chicken, the fish, and choose your entree based on that. Trying to remove as much of the breading and the extra calories, the condiments and sauces, all these things we've been talking about today, right? But at the same time, when it comes to the sides, which is usually kind of that starting of the meal or the appetizer, a lot of times you want to look for things that might have less breading or no breading at all, whether it be shrimp without the breading, whether it be a salad or a big, a big type of shareable salad that maybe you and a friend can enjoy together. And again, you can watch for the sauces and the condiments that go with it, and you can control those. Some of the tips that I'm going to have for that are to have your salads with option of sauce on the side. Just ask for that. Don't ask them to put it on, because you never know if the chef has a heavy hand. which we talked about, right? The chef could be completely heavy handed. They're not measuring and they're putting in the highest fat, cheapest stuff they can get because the restaurant is trying to protect their bottom dollar. They're going to feed you full of the cheapest stuff for the highest price they can charge because they're trying to make money. But they're also trying to put highly addictive sugars and salts in there so you buy more drinks. The more drinks you buy, the more they make. Think about that. And of course, every meal, we're going to have to talk about alcohol, right? Because when you dine out, most people fall victim to the alcohol. So that's going to be another point here. But before I go there, I want to talk one more time about the bread that arrives, right? You can get a basket of bread or a side of fries with your meal. Well, what if you said, I'm looking to get the side of veggies, the side of rice. I'm looking to get the side of something other than the potatoes, like the French fries, because I know the French fries have been done in that deep fried grease we talked about earlier, right? But what if you said, well, maybe I'll go with the baked potato? That's not deep fried anymore. You've already made a better choice. You've already saved on calories. Do you see what I'm saying? So today's about making smarter choices that help you reduce those extra hidden calories, which brings us back to sauce. Okay. So wherever you get steak, salads, and things like that, they're loaded with sauce. Ask for it on the side at the restaurant. You've already made a better choice. Then you can dip your item into the sauce or just apply the amounts of sauce you want for each bite instead of dosing the whole thing in it and soaking it. You're going to notice you enjoy the meal more. Slow down, enjoy the social time that you're most likely there for in the first place, and you and your friends will enjoy a much better meal. Which also makes me wonder, why are you there in the first place? So if you're there for the social aspect and you're at a place where they've chosen literally everything's deep fried or there's no choice at all, it's not the end of the world to skip the meal and just say, you know what? Because of my healthy approach to what I want to do with my life, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. I'm here for the social. How about I just grab a drink, sit with you guys, and enjoy the social time, which is actually why you're there in the first place. So it's okay once in a while to have to skip a meal if that is the case. Okay. And that just might mean based on the place you went. Sometimes they just don't even have the options to give, which is very few places. So now we're talking about, if you go to the having just a drink or if you're having a drink with your meal, most of the time it comes down to you can either order water, and I always recommend order water anyway, right off the top. Get yourself a glass of water because that'll help to kind of fill the void when you're looking to wash down your food rather than washing it down with alcohol or soda or anything that's high sugar and high contents like that. So use water to wash down your meal with little sips throughout the meal. And then as you're enjoying a drink, if you are choosing alcohol, consuming those can be a real problem, not because of the alcohol as much as because of the mix usually. A lot of people end up with juice, high sugar juices and mixes. Pineapple juice, orange juice, whatever other juice you can get, pomegranate juices and all these things. And so we're just trying to get rid of sugars that are going to be extra because those are extra calories. And this whole episode's about hiding extra calories into your diet. Now we're looking to get smarter choices to remove them. So what I want to help you do here is go to choosing your drink on the rocks, which is where you're actually going to get just the alcohol on the ice, right? You can also use something like a soda water or a Perrier or something to mix that way with it. And of course, diet mixers, if you have to, go with a 0-calorie option of diet mixers, kind of like a rum with, Coke Zero or Diet Coke. That would make a bigger difference than having the high sugar extra item and there come all the extra calories. Because if you already know this, and if you don't, write it down, alcohol is worth 7 more calories per gram. And it's like, that makes a big difference because we just talked about fat in all the hidden areas having 9 extra calories per gram. Imagine adding the alcohol on that for 7 more for every gram, right? So you got to look at where these hiding calories, these hidden calories exist. And we're going to try to use the information I've given you today to get it all back out of there and help you stay in your calorie deficit and still enjoy wonderful situations. So you look at your menu ahead of time, you pick the protein-based items and you feel good about that. You choose your side based on a healthier version that isn't deep fried. You choose something that hasn't been saturating in the grease, and you try to get things that are a little bit more sauce on the side controlled, not dosed or breaded heavily in stuff that's already been saturated in sauce or grease. Is all that coming together? That's what today's episode's about. And so here are the points to finish off on. Make smarter food choices. to help manipulate your energy balance. This is the whole overview of what we talked about. Stop deep frying your food, get rid of the deep fryer, change to an air fryer or simply pan fry, or start baking and grilling. Barbecue is one of the greatest ways to do it. Ditch the sauces, okay? Look through your fridge, look through your cupboards, clean up the environment. The sauces are loaded with high fat and loaded with sugar. Go and find yourself better versions. You can search Amazon, you can do that, find yourself some better. And of course, I always say support local. If you can go down to your local place and get yourself a healthier 0-calorie option, start checking. Your grocery store sometimes even has alternate options. When you go to pick up that regular Heinz product that you normally buy, flip it around and look and see that it's got 16 grams of sugar per tablespoon of the sauce or whatever. You're going to want to look and see, is there a better version of that right here on the shelf somewhere to the left or right, most likely, and it's there. And you're going to find like a 0 sugar added or a low fat version. Maybe try that. You could already be helping yourself get into caloric deficit just by switching out some of those products. Doesn't mean you need to stop eating them. It means you need to just find better versions. Okay. And then, of course, always go for leaner cuts of meat and look forward to the words like loin, roast, and breast, as we talked about. So this week, my goal for you is to increase your protein a little more than you've had it, but also look to increase the lean cuts and reduce the condiment sauces that you're putting on. Start switching to herbs, seasonings, and spices. And I guarantee that you're going to see results. You're going to start to lose weight, and you're going to start to notice the weight you're losing is from body fat, and you're actually going to start building lean muscle. Then, of course, you're going to accelerate what you're doing with your training. If you're exercising and lifting weights, now that protein is going to help you there. So everything we've covered is all to help you guys succeed. Week 5, we're halfway through the journey. And now your homework is to start working on cleaning it up the way that we just talked about. Next week, we're going to be talking about how perfect do you need to be to succeed in doing this. And you might be surprised to find out that practice makes permanent, not perfect. I'll see you next time.